My name is Shara Babcock. I serve Chautauqua as Vice President and Emily and Richard Smucker Chair for Education. And it is my great honor to welcome you this afternoon to this afternoon's Town Hall discussion. I'd like to reintroduce Dr. Harvey Fineberg, who's President of the Institute of Medicine. He is responsible for this idea of end-of-life care and the IOM's Committee on Approaching Death. I would also like to introduce Bryan Doerries, Artistic Director of Outside the Wire, which is a social impact theater company with the mission of helping communities discuss social and public health related issues through theater and other media. Today's discussion is one of a series of panels sponsored by the Institute of Medicine being held around the country this calendar year to obtain both public and professional input about end-of-life questions, care, and preparation. Previous meetings have already been held at the National Academy of Sciences in Washington, D.C., at the Stanford University School of Medicine, and Texas Children's Hospital in Houston, Texas. The Committee on Approaching Death began as an effort to connect medical professionals with other individuals who have thoughts about how to best deliver care to and to inform patients who are at the end of their lives. The Outside the Wire producing director is Phyllis Kaufman, and the other two actors this afternoon are Alex Morf and T. Ryder Smith. All the information is in your programs. The afternoon panelists are Dr. Harvey Fineberg, Dr. Philip Pizzo, former Dean of the School of Medicine at Stanford University, and Dr. Patricia Bomba, Vice President and Medical Director of Geriatrics for Excellus BlueCross BlueShield. So ladies and gentlemen, those who are approaching death now or later. And
please don't do it.
I did not mean for that to be funny. I am really quite serious that we all are, and this is a really important subject. Please join me in welcoming the Institute of Medicine's Committee on Approaching Death and Outside the Wire to Chautauqua.
Good afternoon. My name is Bryan Doerries. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm the Artistic Director of Outside the Wire. We're a Brooklyn-based social impact theater company. We use theater to help communities begin to talk about stigmatized issues, to address pressing public health and social issues. One of our most prominent projects over the last 2 years is performed ancient Greek tragedies by Sophocles in military communities around the country. It's called Theater of War, and we've been doing this on military installations, more than 220 performances. 50,000 service member veterans and families have seen this production and have proven to me as a classicist that audiences who've lived lives of mythological proportions know more about these ancient plays than I do. And that's the idea, that's the equation behind this performance this afternoon. We're going to try to do something a little bit different, although I know you all are open to all kinds of experiences at Chautauqua. We're going to perform an ancient Greek play written by Sophocles 2,500 years ago that was performed in the center of the city of Athens. We're going to perform the last scene of this play, which is called The Women of Trachis. It's a lesser-known play. Classicists and academics have called it a problem play. But anyone who's come into contact with the suffering and the psychological anguish that surrounds this issue and our moral and ethical ambivalence has no problem understanding what this play is trying to say, and that'll be evident in the conversation we're about to have in a few seconds. We're performing this play as a pep rally for a discussion we wouldn't have had otherwise. If I had one word to describe our work, it's permission. We're going to perform this ancient play that deals with a very topical and timely subject, and then we're going to have 4 members of the IOM Committee who've come here today respond not necessarily as experts from on high, but as human beings from their guts to what they heard and saw in this ancient play that connected with them personally and professionally. And when they're done with their opening remarks, there are a Greek chorus. We're going to turn out to you, our audience, and I'm going to ask you 4 or 5 questions. I've asked more than 20 audiences all over the country and the world as we've been touring this project, to the Mayo Clinic, to Harvard Medical School, to children's hospitals, to the town square in Falmouth, Massachusetts, where more than 250 octogenarians came out with their own lawn chairs one evening to talk about death. They demanded that conversation. As we've toured this, we've heard many things that have moved us, beyond our wildest imaginations. I'll share with you some of the things people have said in other settings. I know we'll carry with us some of the things we hear at Chautauqua today to our next performance. That's the spirit with which we've come. I should also just briefly say that this project was born out of personal experience for me. Many of our projects are addressing things that I have not experienced, but I lost my girlfriend in 2003 to cystic fibrosis. And during that experience of caring for her in our apartment in New York City, I encountered hospice and palliative care professionals who were the finest and most noble people that I've ever met in my entire life. And I wanted to create a project that would give them and their perspective, and those of us who have been close to this issue, a voice and permission to speak and permission to be heard by people from higher ranking echelons of the medical system and of society. So everyone in here has a voice, everyone in here has a valid perspective on this issue, and we're here to hear it and have a conversation about it. So that's the idea. Before we get down to business with the play and then the panelists, I want to briefly reintroduce you to the actors who come with me from New York City to perform for you. To my left is T. Ryder Smith. You may know T. He's a Drama Desk award-winning Broadway actor. He's been in plays like Equus and Warhorse on Broadway, among many other plays. He's also been on television shows like Nurse Jackie, and where he played a patient. He's going to play a patient in a different order today, and video games like BioShock and BioShock Infinite. I probably was lost on many of you here. But he always makes me say it. To the far, to your right, from your perspective, is Alex Morf. First and foremost, Alex is an alumnus of the Chautauqua Institute program here, where he performed as an actor for several summers that he called some of the best experiences of his life. He's a graduate of the ACT in San Francisco Conservatory MFA program in acting, has been on shows like The Good Wife, and just finished a whirlwind tour of the United States, also in the play Warhorse, where he played the lead character. We're delighted to have both of these actors here to perform for you this afternoon. I will also be filling in as the chorus for budgetary reasons. Please do not find it disrespectful. I'll do my best to keep up with these guys. So, briefly, here's what you need to know about this play. I'm sorry I sound like a carnival barker, but I want to get right down to the business at hand, which is this text. So, the play was written by Sophocles in the 5th century in Athens. It was a century in which the Athenians saw nearly 80 years of war. It was a century in which, if we believe Thucydides, a plague wiped out 30% of the Athenian population. Some people believe that was typhoid fever. It was a century in which doctors and the formalization of medicine itself was being indoctrinated and created. It was the century in which the Hippocratic Oath, barring doctors from administering deadly drugs to their patients, was written and codified. It was the seat of Western medicine and also our civilization in many ways. Euthanasia, aid in dying, these were topics that were not unknown to the Greeks. They were at the center, the forefront of Athenian life. And there was not a lot of controversy surrounding them. The majority opinion was that it was all right, that it was ethically admissible, permissible to help people to die. And it was actually a very small fringe minority that resulted in writing the Hippocratic Oath that has influenced Western medicine ever since. So that's some of the historical context. In the play itself, we are going to see Heracles, the great hero, or Hercules from the Disney movie, who at the end of his 12 labors, you all probably know this story, but Heracles went to war and came back with a mental illness in which he just mistook his own family for the enemy and murdered point blank his wife and children with his weapon, thinking that in a dissociative state that they were soldiers from the warring army that he was fighting against. As punishment for that madness of Heracles, which Euripides has written a play about, he is given 12 Herculean labors to do completely impossible feats that no human being can possibly accomplish, which he, over a period of years, accomplishes. Wrestling the dog of Hades, Cerberus, and overcoming the lion and the Hydra. And I'm sure this is all ringing a bell. But at the end of these 12 labors, he remarries, has new children, has this new wonderful wife, Deianira, who's a princess, whom he rescues from a centaur. And they live for at least a period happily ever after, until that itch in Heracles to continue his conquests, to prove his near immortal status. He's the son of Zeus and a mortal woman, and it's rumored that he might one day become a god. if he lives up to this potential that transcends humanity itself. So because of that itch, he goes out and he conquers new lands, he gets in wars, and he's been for the last 6 weeks, when we find the characters in the play in this scene, in a neighboring country named Euboea, waging a war against a king named Eurytus. And after 6 weeks, he finally vanquishes Eurytus, and he comes home to his wife and his son Hyllus, an adolescent, probably 14 or 15 years old. Heracles comes home victorious after being away for six weeks. And he brings with him a young 19-year-old war prize. And his wife, Deianira, I would say, is in her late 40s, early 50s. She's beginning to fade in her beauty and her attraction to Heracles. And so when Deianira hears that her husband is coming home, she couldn't be happier. But when she hears he's coming home with a young girlfriend, she couldn't be more devastated. And so she runs into the house in a frantic state of jealousy and fear, and she prepares a potion that was given to her by the centaur Nessus, who was trying to abduct and rape her, whom Heracles killed with his bow and arrow. When Heracles killed the centaur Nessus, he gave Deianira a vial of his blood, and he said, "Give this potion to your husband when he falls out of love with you, and all of your problems will be solved." So, rule number 1, never take advice or potions from a dying centaur. It turns out the blood was actually a poison, and she spreads it over a robe and sends it off with her son Hyllus to meet Heracles before he makes it back to the palace. Heracles is so pleased by his wife's magnanimity and her generous spirit, given that he was bringing back the young girl, and he immediately puts on the robe and drapes it over his arms, and the robe eats through his skin, through his ligaments, through his muscle tissue, through his nerves, through his bones, down through the marrow, and in a matter of minutes, this once great, nearly divine human being is reduced to the sounds of an animal wailing on the ground, irreversibly destroyed. So Hyllus, his son, runs back to castigate his mother for having poisoned his father. She all of a sudden learns that in fact she was tricked by the centaur, runs into the house, and takes her own life. Now, Hyllus has been partially responsible for his wife's suicide. And the beginning of this scene, the soldiers of Heracles bring his body to the foot of the palace in Trachis where they've been living and lay his body out in front of the palace. And Hyllus, the 14 or 15-year-old son who really has no relationship with his father, who only wants his father's approval, stands only feet from his broken father's body, trying to figure out how he might be able to help him through the agony and the pain of what's now transpired. So that leads you up to where we're going to start. That's all you need to know. It's about as long as the scene itself. We're going to give you a 20-25 minute scene, the last scene of Sophocles' Women of Trachis.
Oh, Zeus, where have they taken me? At which men's feet am I now splayed out like a cold corpse, exhausted by the endless waves of pain? Oh, God, here comes the misery. Here comes the hateful plague again to ravage my body, to eat me alive. Ah! You altars of Selenium! I wish I had never seen you with my eyes, or made Thanksgiving sacrifices to the gods, for look at what I received in return. This is my thanks. This is my reward. A virulent madness that shatters my mind, a terminal illness that shall never be cured. For where is there a doctor other than Zeus who can put this sickness to sleep, who can sing it into remission? It would be amazing to meet such a physician, or even to hear stories of his exploits from afar. Let me sleep. Let me sleep. Let me close my wretched eyelids and gently slip away from this life. What are you doing? Do not touch me. You only make it worse. Why are you trying to take me? You're killing me. Killing me. You've awoken the pain in every fiber of my being. It has me in its teeth. Ah! It feeds on me again. Ah! Where are you from? You call yourselves Greeks. You're the most unrighteous, unjust, unworthy of men. I wore myself down to the bone for you so-called Greeks, ridding your country of monsters and exterminating sea beasts. Now that I am the one mourning on the ground, clutching my sides in pain, which one of you will please come quickly, visit me with a sword or a torch? Is there no one among you who's willing to cut off my head in this miserable existence? Where are you, my son? Come over here and lift me up. Oh, God! Oh, God, not again! Not again! The savage contagion claws through the walls of my veins, bursts through blood vessels, feasts upon my flesh, inflicting irreversible damage and untamable pain. Athena! It lacerates me from within. My son, show some compassion for your father. Take out your blameless blade. Make a surgical incision right here below my collarbone. Cure the infection of your mother's unholy fury combusting in my blood. I wish for her to fall to her knees and feel this pain, the very pain with which she has destroyed me. Oh, sweet Hades, brother of Zeus, let me sleep the endless sleep of sudden death. Relieve me of my misery.
I shudder at the sound of suffering Lord Heracles as the ravaged illness kills his broken body.
I spent long years sweating and toiling with coarse hands over many hot labors, carrying the weight of unspeakably evil memories on my back. But never in all this time have I been burdened by anything devised by Hera, queen of the gods, or King Eurystheus, that begins to approach the poisonous web woven by my once beautiful wife, Deianira. And the avenging furies by which I now find myself struggling for life, waiting for death. It sticks to my ribs, it feasts on my flesh, it invades the linings of my lungs where it scrapes against my chest with every breath. It guzzles my blood with unquenchable thirst. My body is demolished by an unnatural disaster. I was never taken down by a spear on the battlefield, or by any earthborn army of giants, or by monsters, or by sea beasts, or Greeks, or men from any other country for that matter. I was defeated by a mere female. A weak woman without a sword. My son, prove yourself to be my true-born son. Curse your mother's name. Drag her out of the house by her hair with your hands. Then hand her over to me, so that I may see you suffering more at the sight of my broken body than at the rightful defilement of hers. Come on, my son, you must find the strength within yourself to do this for your father. Take pity on me, for I am worthy of your pity, writhing with pain and weeping just like a woman, which no man can day he witness me do in the past. I have been stripped of all my virtue, of everything that makes me a man, and reduced to the state of an animal. Come closer, my son. Stand right here beside me. See what has become of your father in his misfortune. I will expose to you the truth of my affliction. Pull back the sheet so you can see the source of my misery. Open your eyes wide, all of you. Look, take in the damage done by the disease on my tormented body. Gaze upon a terminal patient in pain. I am wretched. Here it comes again. A searing wave of spasms moves through my muscles. Oh, it burns as the sadistic infection shoots through my veins. It tortures me without mercy. Oh, Hades, take me now. Oh, Father Zeus, bringer of lightning, hurl down your fireboats and scorch me from above, for the disease is feeding on me, breaking out within my broken body, replicating with abandon. It spreads into my extremities, my hands, my poor hands. They will never be the same again. It climbs my spine, up over my shoulders, ripping through ligaments. It liquidates the tissue within my once invincible arms, with which I overpowered the great lion of Nemea, who terrorized the countryside, unchecked, afraid of no man. With these arms, I defeated the mighty Hydra of Lerna and the savage army of centaurs, who in their double nature, half stallions, half men, trample their enemies with cloven hooves and stampedes of enormous force, knowing no laws. With these arms, I destroyed the boar of Erymanthea and Cerberus, the three-headed hound down in Hades, the awful offspring of Echidna, mother of all monsters. With these arms, I strangled the serpent who guarded the golden apples in the shadows of Hesperia at the end of the earth. I shouldered the weight of countless other labors, facing down the worst of adversaries, but was never defeated until now. All my strength has been reduced to rubble. My nerves have been shattered, my joints dislocated, my muscles shredded. I am a shell of my former self. I am in ruins. I, who was the child of the noblest of mothers, I, who was worshipped by some as the son of Zeus, taking my rightful place in the sky among the stars. Know this above all. Even if my life means nothing, even if I cannot move another inch, I will punish the woman who did this to me. In spite of my illness, bring her to me so that I may teach her the meaning of suffering and show her how in life and in death I deal with those who do me wrong.
Oh, you wretched Greeks will mourn the loss of this man when he is no longer among the living.
Since in your silence you have given me a brief moment to speak, please listen closely, Father, in spite of your illness, to what I am about to say. It is only right for you to hear me out. Give yourself over to the sound of my voice without struggling against it in anger or hacking up hatred. Unplug your ears, or you will never hear how your rage has been displaced and how you have made a grave mistake.
Say whatever you need to say, then shut your mouth, my son, for I am sickened by the sound of your voice, and in my agony cannot follow the logic of your words.
I'm going to tell you about my mother and how she came in ignorance to make a mistake and what has become of her now.
You utterly evil excuse for a son. You dare speak to me of the woman who slaughtered your father in earshot of me?
It would be wrong to remain silent about the state that she is in.
And what about the injustice she has done to me?
Two wrongs do not make a right. Hear what she has done this day.
Speak, but do not betray yourself to be a traitor with your words.
I will say it. She is dead. She died only moments ago.
Your words fill me with wonder and joy. Who took her life?
She did.
Stealing from me the satisfaction of choking her to death with my hands.
You would not say such things if you knew what really happened.
I do not like the sound of this, but tell me what you think I need to hear.
She tried to do good, but slipped and did evil instead.
So you think it was good to murder your father? Despicable!
She tried to make you love her again by dosing you with a potion after laying eyes on your bride.
And what great physician gave her this medicine?
It was Nessus, the centaur, who long, long ago taught her how to reignite your love with a drug distilled from his blood.
Oh, it is over. I may as well be dead already. I see now how my life will end. The light will fade away forever. Go gather your brothers and sisters. Go find my poor old mother, Alcmena, who uselessly went to bed with Zeus only to give birth to a son who would one day die. Bring them all here to my side. so they can hear my last words.
I am sorry, but none of them are here. Your mother now lives in Tiryns alongside the ocean with some of your children, and the others live in Thebes. All of us who are here, Father, will do our best to assist you, to carry out your last wishes, and to make you comfortable.
Well, then listen to what must be done, son. You are standing at a crossroads. It's time to show the world what you're made of, exactly what kind of man you have come to be. You have long been called my son. Now prove yourself once and for all to be my son. Long ago, my father showed me the future and told me that my life would never be ended by anyone alive, but that I would be murdered by a shade who lived in Hades. So Nessus the centaur has killed me from the grave. The prophecy was true. I die at the hands of the dead. And now I will unlock the rest of the riddle that was spoken to me when I stepped into the grove at Seloi. Those high priests at Dodona who sleep in the mountains with their feet in the dirt near the oracular oak that speaks with many voices, whispering truth in the rustling of leaves. I wrote it all down so I would not forget. At this living, breathing moment, when I am released from the labors long weighing on my shoulders, I will finally be happy. I see now what it means. It means I will die. For only the dead can no longer labor. Count no man happy until he dies, free of pain at last. So now that we know, son, let's take action. You must stay by my side and never be pushed away by my words, no matter how harsh. Try not to provoke my anger and work with me on this last labor. For the ancient law is sacred that requires a son to obey his father.
Father, it makes me uneasy to agree with your request, but I will do as you ask.
First, place your hand here, right against mine.
First, tell me what compels you to make me swear an
Give me
oath.
your hand quickly! Do not defy my orders!
Here's my hand. I will do as you say.
Swear now on the head of Zeus who gave me life.
How can I swear until I know what I'm swearing to do?
Swear to do the deed of which I speak.
With Zeus as my witness, I swear.
Pray to be punished if you do not live up to your oath.
I will not need to be punished, but I pray all the same.
Do you know the towering mountain of Oeta, sacred to Zeus, king of the gods?
I know it well, for I've gone there many times to make sacrifices.
Take my body in your hands, lift it up with the help of your friends, and carry it there. Then chop down a few of the ancient oaks firmly rooted in the earth, and gather branches from the wild olive groves, piling high the wood onto which you will toss my body. Then take a flaming torch made of pine and set it all ablaze. Do not let me see you stifle cries or choke on tears of grief. Do this work without emotion if you are indeed my son, or I will lay in wait for you even in death and visit you with endless suffering from the underworld.
Father, what are you saying? What are you asking me to do?
What must be done or be someone else's son?
I ask you again, Father, what are you asking me to do? Be a murderer? Stained with the pollution of your blood and hounded by the Furies forever?
I am asking you to be my doctor! Heal this affliction! Cure my disease!
You want me to heal your body by setting it on fire?
If you're afraid to see this through to the end, then at least do the rest.
I will carry you to Oeta.
And gather the wood.
I will do everything that you have asked except light the fire.
That will be fine.
It would be wrong. It is wrong to argue with the afflicted, but it is hard to listen to the twisted logic of your words.
It seems this boy has no intention of doing what his dying father has asked of him. Know this, son, you will be cursed by the gods if you do not give me what I am rightfully due.
Your words will soon betray how sick you really are.
Yes, for you have enraged the pain, awakening it again.
This is impossible. No matter what I decide to do, I will be wrong.
Yes, because you think it's right to disobey a father.
If I am loyal to you, then I am disloyal to myself and my sense of what is right. Is this the lesson that I'm supposed to learn?
You will learn the meaning of loyalty by granting happiness to a dying man.
Then you order me to do this with full understanding of what you are saying.
Yes. I call out to the gods to bear witness to my words.
Since you have shown these deeds to the gods to be yours, not mine, then I will do as you have asked. Then no one will be able to question my loyalty.
In the end, you have chosen well, my son. Now quickly do this one last thing for me. Take my body and place it on top of the pyre as I've asked, before another wave of pain comes crashing down upon me. Lift me up right away. Do not wait another second. This is the rest I have long been awaiting, an end to my labors and to the mighty Heracles.
Nothing will stop these things from being accomplished, since you ordered me to carry them out on your behalf.
Do it now, before you agitate the illness and cause me undue suffering. Oh, unyielding soul. I will place a bit made of steel between my teeth to keep the cries from escaping my lips. Carry out this unpleasant business quickly, as if it were something you wanted to do.
Hoist him onto your shoulders, friends, showing compassion for what has happened, witnessing the brutality of the gods towards one they called their son. No one can say what is to come. It is heartbreaking to helplessly look upon this man's suffering, and shameful for those who cause it, but hardest of all on one who suffers this affliction.
My friends, you've seen many strange things, countless deaths, new kinds of torture, immeasurable pain, and all that you have seen is God.
Thank you very much.